Hi, my name is Marin Cabrera. I am a Mexican American student currently at the University of Washington School of Medicine, and this is my elevated story. So I was growing up, just like any kid, thought about a lot of different things. I think number one was probably being a soccer player since I love soccer, love the tactics, the team aspect, and just overall cheering for a team. So that was kind of our my beginning point of what I wanted to be. Then eventually, when I started looking at professional aspects, I think um, I really like the idea of being a doctor. No exact reason why, it just kind of seemed pretty interesting to have a little stethoscope that you used to play with and play around with your stuffed animals and just play pretend. I thought that was pretty cool. And also teaching. My mom and my dad are both teachers, and so I spent a lot of time in the classroom after school, since my dad would be my ride to get back home. And so I saw him teach during the day, also do after school teaching, and then at night teaching. So we would go home pretty late. And so I got to really see what that was like. I also got to tutor myself since he was teaching grades that were a little younger than me. I was able to help him out after school and sometimes at night with the tutoring aspect. And so the idea of teaching really appealed to me. I remember particularly as I was growing up going to the doctor's office with my mom for her particular checkups, whatever they might be, and having to translate for her as early as third or fourth grade, just the guidelines that the doctor was giving to my mother about when to take medications, what foods to eat, when to check blood pressure, etc. And I think that now that I've significantly grown up from that, I think now I see that as difficult for a lot of different people, just given the fact that a lot of times physicians will deliver some pretty serious news to their family members. And so having to translate that, I think, is mentally difficult for a lot of children, a lot, even teenagers or even adults who have to translate for their family members. And I don't think that that's something that needs to happen, just given the fact that there could be so much representation in medicine that would permit for a direct conversation with an individual on a one-on-one basis. And secondly, I think that just being able to connect with them by sharing similar values permits for a much richer connection as well, which is exactly why I think representation is so pivotal in medicine. So I think the application process is one of the most important steps and one of the most difficult steps throughout the whole journey. I remember very particularly trying to decide whether or not to even apply for medical school or delay for a year or for two, three, just given the fact that my MCAT score wasn't stellar. And so that plants a pretty significant seed of doubt into someone's mind. I see the MCAT as a pretty difficult test that has closed a lot of doors for people in the past. And I think that that's just such a shame. But it really plants a seed of doubt into a lot of people's mind, including mine, just given the fact that one grade causes you to really doubt whether or not you have what it takes. And I think that that's such a shame. And so I battled back and forth as to whether or not I wanted to give the application process a shot, just given that barrier. Um, but also the second part would be the sheer amount of cost that it takes to apply for medical school. I was lucky in the fact that I was able to apply to most schools within Texas, which slightly minimizes the financial aspect. But when deciding to apply anywhere else, and even within Texas, it adds up pretty significantly, just given the fact that you have travel costs, you have the application cost, and then you have the supplemental application cost. It adds up relatively quickly, and that's a big barrier and a big stressor for me and for a lot of different students as well. If I could describe the medical school journey in one word, I would say exhilarating, just because of the fact that it feels like you're on a roller coaster really at all times. There's going to be some really big highs, some pretty down lows as well, depending on the week, depending on even the day, where you feel like you're making a huge difference one day when you're able to connect with someone and really hear their story and learn more about a particular person. And then some pretty serious lows when you witness a patient pass away or become much more ill one morning after you left them at nights when they were very stable, talkative. And so I think that juxtaposition of emotions that can happen even in one day or within an hour really sums up the experience pretty well. It's an absolute honor to be an ElevateMeD Scholar, just given the fact that there are so many brilliant students in this country, and to just be mentioned within the same sentence as them is really touching, humbling, and honestly a great honor for me personally. I hope to um, really share the word and spread the word about this program to different generations and future generations of medical students, and hope that it expands to include as many people possible in the future too.